So remember that it was and, it was or. This particular problem happens to be an or. And doesn't really matter that there's two parts to it. You solve this just like you would a regular old equation, right? So what do you have to do to get h by itself? Yeah, subtract 5, subtract 5. And the 5's drop out, you get h less than or equal to -2, -5 is -7. H less than or equal to -7. So then you go down to your number line at -7. Should I color it in or not color it in? Color it in because it's got the equals to. If it's just less than, we do not color it in. But less than or equal to, color it in at -7. And then we want values less than. What way do the values go less than? To the left. Also remember, if you have your variable on this side, the inequality points in the direction you should color, right? But only if you have your variable on the left side. So any number that you pick in this region will solve this inequality. It will work in that inequality. Now we're going to do the same thing to the other inequality. What do you do here? Right, subtract 5, subtract 5. You get h greater than or equal to -3. You go to -3 on my number line. Should I color it in or not? Color it in because it's got the equals. Where is -3? And then, which way should I color? I want values that are greater than. To the right are the greater than. So up to this point, it does not matter if it's and or. You dingbat. You know what? Why don't you just take it in the hall? You can play all you want.
I'll be a good boy and listen.
And then we won't know how to do it. Up until this point, it doesn't matter if it's and or. At the very end, once you have it up above, you look to see and or. This happens to be an or. If it were and, though, and is where they overlap. It has to be both of them. Or a little bit less. Where is there one of those or the other? It could be both, but you only need one or the other. Well, where should I color on my number line then if I only need one or the other? Well, here, going this way, any of these values will work in this inequality. Over here, any of these values will work in the other. So they don't have to work in both with an or. Or it only has to work in one or the other. Doesn't have to be both. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Do you have any questions on that one? Do you have any questions on that one? Well, today we're going to be looking at things that are written like this. And it's different because you have two inequalities all within the same problem. And on top of that, there's no and or. There's no word. So we're going to have to take this and make two inequalities out of it and then put a word in between. How would I get my two inequalities from this? Well, you cover up one inequality and everything else to the right. See that? See this right here? That's your first inequality. -3 less than or equal to x minus 2. Here it is, right here. See it? See it? Then the other inequality, now we're going to cover up the other side, and the rest of this is our second inequality. Cover it up. I've got an x minus 2 less than 4. So all of this stuff is my second. And then what about the word in between? And, or? When it's written like this, all as one thing, it's always an and problem. It's always going to be an and problem. And then you just solve it like we did the other day. Since I have red in my hand, let's solve this one first. What do you do to get x by itself? Looks like I get x less than 6. Huh. I would graph it on a number line if I had one. I would graph it on a number line. I hope that's big enough. So I go to 6, color it in or not color it in, Reese? Not color it in. There's no equals underneath here, so I'm not going to color it in. Which way does my line go? Left or right? Left. The values that are less than go to the left. So any value that I choose in this region will work in this part of the inequality, right? How about the other side? What do I have to do to get x by itself? Add 2, x greater than or equal to -1. I don't like my letter on that side. I don't like it over here. I like it on the left side. You can flip it around if you want. The only thing you have to make sure of, look, do you see the big part is by the x? The big part has to stay toward the x. The little part is by the -1. The little part has to stay by the -1. But you can take that whole inequality and flip the whole thing over. I like it better like that. Now I need x greater than or equal to -1. I'm going to go to -1. Should I color or no?
Yeah.
Color? Which way? Right or left? Right? And remember, when your letter is on this side, when it's on the left, the inequality sign points in the direction that you color. Now, we said this is always going to be an and. When it's written like that, when it's written like this, all as one big thing, it's always an and. So what do we have to have for and? Where they overlap. Where do they overlap? Where do they overlap? Well, starting here, and we're going to take a new graph. And all the values up to any value that you pick in that middle region You could take it and plug it into this side, it will work. You'll take it and plug it into this side, and it will work. Right? Does that make sense? Hey, I have a question back on this one. What if I would have changed this and instead of an or? What if this one would have been an and? No solution, right, very good. Remember, and has to be where they overlap. Where did this blue and red one, sorry, purple and red one overlap? They don't, right? But this part is going to be today's assignment, the all-in-one. Cover it up, you write one inequality, and then you cover up this side and write your other inequality. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So I want you to put the one assignment that you still have, put it on the shelf over there at some point today. And then this right here is what you should work on. Whew.